I'm now sailing across to the east side of the Rance, which is absolutely beautiful. About the first nice weather we've had for a long time, and I'm going towards the south. There's a little folly on the headland there, and I'm going to go into the channel, and I'm going to go through the lock, and I'm going to go and spend the night at Dinan, which is a lovely medieval town at the very south end of the Rance. And then tomorrow I will come the other way and go that way, which is towards the sea, and see how far I can get. This is absolutely wonderful. So there's the channel boys are there because well, the lock should be open until 6 o'clock this evening, so I want to get there quite smartly so that I can get through and spend the night in the non-tidal part of the Rance, and nice and quiet and okay and cool. I'll cut off here and I've got the old sewing machine on going again because it's, the wind is very, very fickle in this narrow part of the river. There's a lovely little place I stayed at a couple of years ago, and I tied up there for the night, and here we are going down the narrow part. There's still some wind on the water. You'll see that and feel it right behind my head, and waiting for the boom to chime at any time. So it's not very far to the lodge. I'll sign off here. I have about 10 minutes to wait for the lock. It's probably the last time because the tide is pretty low, but the limit is 6 o'clock. I managed to get them on the VHF, and so it's just a little bit of time to wait, and then I can once I'm through the lock, I'll go to Dinan and spend the night. So I'm leaving the lodge. They're shutting the gate again. So I'm in here. I'm shut in here for the night. It's rather lovely. I've never been here before. Little village, and real Breton village with it's a restaurant bar. It's all open now. With the present situation of the pandemic. And so it's full height of water here because it's no longer tidal, and there's a little port here. There's a place over there. They're all tied up and they get ashore by on a little dinghy, and here they're tied up to the little docks, and there's no more current here. Just before I had tidal current against me, but it wasn't a very big current. I could quite easily make headway against it. Some interesting vessels here, Châtelier. Yes, and there are people hooking off the boat and enjoying themselves. It's summertime. It's I'm making my way towards Dinan, which is a lovely medieval town, and then I'll stop there for the night. I'm going to have something to eat from my galley, and la combuse, as they say in French. And there we go. So cheers for now. This is quite idyllic. Pointing the camera towards the sun, but the Rance is getting narrower and narrower. Now entirely under power, making rather a lot of noise as usual, but I'm going against the wind and against the current. So really I don't fancy rowing if I can avoid it. So anyway, this really is rather lovely. Some kids and their parents having fun in the shade on the other side, in the woods. Rather lovely. I can smell I love the smell of the woods, leaves and trees and nature. Absolutely nice to the gift. So I'm going up towards Dinan and never got anywhere to moor during the night, because otherwise I can see boats that have just moored at the side of the Rance, and they're just enjoying a time of solitude and well, silence after people like me have gone by with their engines blaring away, and so there's the towpath, people walking along. Very, very nice. So, oh yes, I can see a couple of cars parked. It's probably getting quite near Dinan. Anyway, I think it's probably where I'll pass the night, or spend the night, but we'll see how it goes. The advantage with mooring like that at the side of the river is that in the morning you can do what you want in the way of personal business. I won't go into any details. And yes, I think we're coming up to Dinan because there's quite a lot of boats moored at the side there. And so I'll do another little video when I get there. Here we are, arriving at Dinan. Beautiful, the beautiful church perched right up on the top of the hill, and I'm going to find myself a place to have some supper, set up the tent, spend the night, and then continue the adventure tomorrow. That's the other side. Port of Dinan. I think I'm under 3 knots, so I don't think anyone will get me for speeding. At least I hope not. First meal from the galley of Sarum. And I think I showed this box that I built last year with aluminium inside, and the gas burner in the bottom. And I'll just turn the gas down a little bit. I don't want to burn everything. There we are. Then I put the lid on. Oh, nearly lost the lid in the water. There we are. So that's and then that's going to heat up slowly, and then I'll have some supper. I'm moving out of Dinan, and there we are. And I'm going to go down to the port, just by the lock, and wait until 10:30 when the first boat will be allowed through the lock, and then I'll be going back into the tidal section of the Rance, and probably go to Saint Malo for lunch, and a bit of a rest, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. There we are. We've left the non-tidal part of the Rance, and it's now the tidal part, and it's the minimum level of water required for going through the lock. Some very nice people in the motorboat here. I was talking to in the lock, and they got a bit more. They've got a few more horsepower than I have. Just riding the waves. Try not to get too close to the sandbank. So all this is mud, about 10 feet deep. Wouldn't like to try to walk on it. There's the other side, which is where the water's a lot deeper. It's all beautifully marked out for boats with a bigger drop than I have. This is really real French laziness. They just fall to pieces, these fishing cabins, and they're just left to rot. Much cheaper that way. The pity is well, the local council have bigger priorities. This bridge is impressive. Looks very, I'd say 1930s, bit of Art Deco, and beautiful piece of engineering. And there's some sailing yachts coming up behind me. They're a bit slower than I think he's catching up, but it's not a race, especially not with a 2.5 horsepower engine. There we go. We're going. The tide's coming in, so I'm moving against the current. There's a little bit less current now. As it starts to get wider. There's a narrow bit coming up, so I might need to put a bit more power on to get through. I'm going to take to look out for the channel buoys here. The port channel buoy is very far to the left there of the stream. See the motorboat is going round. I'll be doing the same thing. I don't fancy running aground on this silt. You don't get off. Although the tide is coming in, it's at least that's one consolation. A horrible scum on the top of the water here. It's really rather unpleasant. I don't think I'd like to go swimming here. I don't know if it's human pollution or what it is. But it's something I don't like to have anything to do with here. A little group of ducklings. Rather sweet. So I'm going to go along here, not too near the rocks. There he is. He's turning to starboard because he's sticking to the channel. It's still quite low, although it's coming up. It's about 3 meters to the high water, to the high tide mark. And I'll just keep you online. There's a rescue boat here. At least it looks like a rescue boat. And a rather nice house, which I think it looks to me to be probably the rescue people. It's probably not a private house. It's rather a big house. It's a farm building. And here's the oh yeah, a bit of wind. Yes, it's yes. I'll have to measure the knots, but I would think we're about 7 or 8 knots for the moment. Nothing to worry about. the narrow part of the Rance, and there's that little buoy at the headland which marks the beginning of much wider waterway. I'm coming out of the channel. I need to be in the navigation channel, so I'm going to get up to the fourth buoy. There's that nice little place where I spent the night a couple of years ago. Very, very nice. We've got a big passenger boat coming, and he's doing reasonably slowly, but I've got power to get through his wake. The corsair, the Dinan, probably will be mooring where I'm moored for the night. So good job I'm no longer there. People wearing masks, they're very close together. Very wise. Probably well, it's fairly fresh this morning, it's not very hot. So, two waves, and then I'll be hoisting up the sails before long, and I'll see if I can tack up towards the Rance, because it's the northwest wind, so it'll be coming straight down. So hopefully I'll be able to tack. So I'll see what I can do. At last, I've shut off the sewing machine, and I'm now sailing. I have to tack in a minute, because otherwise I'm going to get caught. Although it's the tide is quite high now. It's not bad. So I'll be going onto those bridges just over here on the right. You can't see it, but I have memories of a week I spent sailing here, and I stayed at the campsite, and it was the first time I was thinking of the direction of my life. It's a light wind, so it's relaxing. There's Plouër, where I parked the car on the trailer yesterday. Oh dear, I'm luffing up. Right, should be able to fill my sails again. Sheet in the jib a bit. There we go. Wind's dropped a bit, but I'm still moving. So just a question of being patient. So there's Plouër. There's a nice village up on the top of the hill, and then there's the port. There's the village where the church is, and then there's the port village. I had to walk about. I had to go about a kilometre from the launching ramp to the place where I could park the car on the trailer, and then walk back, and the boat was already nearly dry on the sand. Fortunately it was on sand, so that I could pull her into the water. Anyway, that's so this is rather lovely. I didn't seem to be touching the bottom, but there are no marker buoys, so I just go gently, and yeah, the sail's nicely trimmed. Okay, probably taking a bit of yeah, probably taking a bit of alcohol. I think that's about all. And so I'll leave you here until I get past the bridges and up towards Saint Malo. There's the little campsite with a cafe just in front. It's a little campsite, no frills, very reasonably priced. It's the Ville d'Air campsite along opposite Plouër, and I would very gladly give it some free advertising. Good service, very friendly. I recommend it for anyone who wants to spend a few days there. And not this year because I'm entirely independent. But there we are. It's a very nice place, and it's quite amazing the kind of people you meet in these remote places. Last night in Dinan, I was a very marginal kind of man who approached me, and we were talking about many things. He seemed quite intelligent. I don't think, perhaps he was not entirely all there, I don't know. Probably somebody who suffered, but somebody in whom I saw Christ. A very humbling experience it was too. And he was approached by a friend of his who was very harsh in his way of talking and had things to blame him for. I don't really know what. Sometimes these meetings of, this is what happens on dinner cruises. There are these human experiences that remind us of our transcendence, the God within us, the God we belong to. This is how the little children start. There's a little group of optimists with small children being towed by the instructor's pneumatic dinghy, and they'll probably go and find some nice safe place to sail and do some exercises of tucking and jibing. It's wonderful to see that, because one of those days those little children, they'll either become sporting champions or they become enthusiasts like me. I learnt very late in life. I didn't learn as a child. But there we are. There you can see the little fluorescent yellow sails. Maximum safety. And yes, there we are. So we're coming up to the bridge. I haven't very much lee room, but I'd like to be able to get onto the bridge on the same tack. That would be, but I think there's going to be a dead point. I might have to put the engine on as we go onto the bridge and past that headland where there are some houses and the end of the bridge. This is Saint Malo I'm coming up to, which was made famous by the French television series Entre Terre et Mer, between land and sea, about the Terre Neuve, the ships that went all the way to Newfoundland to fish for cod, and often in very dangerous conditions, and many men were lost. And this series on French television was something that particularly moved me at the time. I now have the videos of the series, which is a very wonderful human story of the ship La Charmeuse and the captain, a very good, just and honest man, and his crew, and what happened when they got back to land and somebody had been lost at sea, and it was the mayor and the local parish priest who turned up at the house. And if that happened, the family knew that something, the worst had happened to their husband or father. This is the way things were in those days. And they sailed from here, from Saint Malo, they sailed out to sea and all the way over the Atlantic. Very brave men. Because fishing in such dangerous conditions was probably preferable to the pittance they would earn by working on the land. The old expression, plain sailing. I'm just tacking my way up, tacking upwind towards the dam. That is Saint Malo, as I've just left, I've had some lunch there, and just on the little knoll to the left of the village, it's a little shrine to Our Lady, and it's the last place where sailors said their prayers to Our Lady to ask her for a safe return from their fishing trip across the Atlantic. This was a country of faith at one time, even in the 20th century. I now keep the sail, so it's there we are. You can see probably about 12-13 knots of wind. Quite a lot of chop. I don't know if I'm going to leave the Rance today. I might come to tomorrow when the west wind, hopefully. So I'd like to see some of the North Brittany coast with the north wind, and there's no shelter. So I'll just have to see how it goes. I'm going to go towards the dam and see how things go. This is Friday morning, and I didn't go through the big dam last night out to the sea. It was northwest wind, quite strong, and in any case I was too late in terms of the tide to get through the lock, and then so I came into this little this little place. I'm sitting on the terrace of a sailing school, and the tide is coming very, very slowly, and there's Sarum on the beach there in the middle with the red sail, and I'm waiting to get enough water to get out. I'll probably go and have a little look in that little river. I'm not going to go through the dam. I'm going to stay in the Rance in calm water, because I think there'll be a lot of waves and there won't be any shelter anywhere because of the direction of the wind. So I'm going to take more advantage of the take more of an advantage of the Rance and go and explore some more of these little villages and get to know it even better, because it's a very, very beautiful place, and I think it's a shame to go and see too many things and not see anything in detail. So that's how it's going to be today. I'm going to go back down south a little bit. I'll have a little bit of wind in my I'll get a little bit of a reach, a beam reach, or even a stern reach, and so it'll be very, very easy as long as I keep the wind to my quarter. Then I won't have any unprepared jibes. There isn't that much wind yet today, a lot less than yesterday, but so I'm going to keep on these nice calm waters, a nice calm trip, and I might go and see some of the North Brittany coast next month. We'll see how how things go, and it's a wonderful experience to spend time in these little places. Even just last night I met a man who seemed to be very alone. He'd worked on an oil platform in Scotland and had a very, very, very bad accident that nearly killed him, and he was very very courageous in the way he recovered as much as possible from that very bad accident. I seem to meet these little people who suffer from life, and have so much wisdom, so many things to say. So I'll leave off here. After a long wait, I'm very nearly afloat. Rudder's already in the water, engine's ready to go down, and so very nice instructors at the sailing school. Very good, very competent man. There's a lady as well who is a monitor, who's an instructor, and the children are taught how to rig the boat as well. It's and get on with things and be sociable and everything, which is really wonderful. Another bit of human psychology. Children shouting at each other, blaming each other. Almost a row between husband and wife. It's quite amazing. Another bit of human psychology. It's quite surprising. It's to stand back and observe a lot of these things. And there's this nice little village, lovely little houses. There would have been fishermen's cottages at one time, and now it's now yuppie land. It's all gentrified, and houses in absolutely perfect condition. That one over there has a brand new roof on it. And here we got the sailing school. They're packing up for lunch, and nearly ready. It's a bit of a wind from the northeast, and but I hope to be able to get out of here with my engine as he's anchoring. Right. So the children sailing optimist this morning. They're all in. They've all been brought in by motorboat. So sign off here. So now I'm underway again, and close hauling just for the moment. Got out off the beach with the engine because it was crosswind. I was hoping to have something a little bit more directly offshore, but well, I just had to adapt. And so underway again. There's the dam. There's the electric generating dam that I'm not going through this time. I'm going to stay wisely in the Rance and have some nice peaceful days. It's a chirpy kind of wind, quite gusty. At least I don't have big waves here. That's what I'm most afraid of outside the dam. But I think there would be waves on all the beaches. Here I am in the classical scissors formation. The jib on one side and the main on the port side. I'm slightly I've got the wind slightly from the port aft quarter, which is a little bit risky in terms of a sudden jibe, but I'm always ready for it. At least here the wind is quite constant compared with a small lake. This is this is all very nice. There's a nice little island there with a house on it, and we've got a few yachts just leisurely sailing down. So, that one just with the Jenica, and that one there with both sails doing the same thing as me. He's on the other tack, but I'm going slightly to starboard. So that's inevitable. If I went about 5 degrees to port, then everything would have to change over. In all modesty, I never cease to praise my wisdom for staying in the Rance. I'm going down a side part where I've never been before. It's very wild around here. There are a few villages and a few water mills, but apart from that, it's nature, it's trees, it's quietness. And I haven't got the sewing machine buzzing away on the stern. I'm full. I'm running with the wind. Well, rather in a full reach. Oh yes, the jib's beginning to flap a little bit. He wants to go over to the port side, which I'll do in a moment. But it's all rather splendid. It's beautiful Brittany countryside, not very different from where I live in the Mayenne. Quite similar. Geologically, it's about the same. It's granite. It's beautiful. Now I've got to watch this boom because it's going to chime in any second. Somebody's wasted his boat. Seems to have washed up. No mast, no rigging. Looks to be full of holes. Till it, well, as it's made of plastic, it'll be there for hundreds of years. And well, the boat's in fiberglass too, epoxy resin. This is quite odd. It's kind of very solid stone wall. Oh gosh, a little gust here. But I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary. I'm in a full reach, so the rig is stable. Yeah, see, it's coming from my start. It's coming from my port side. See the little wavelets. So I'm going to continue up here for a little while, and then I get to turn back and turn left, go down further. We're not yet at high tide, so I won't spend too long here because all this is just sand and mud when it's low tide. Out of here. That must be a lovely little place to live in. It's a nice little house under the tree. So isolated. Must be wonderful as a hermitage. But I'm not glad where I am. Where I'm learning to be here again. I stopped at the little beach to have something to eat, and I set off this afternoon. There's quite a lot of gusts of wind, nothing absolutely extraordinary, but it would be an absolute catastrophe to capsize this boat. So I'm going with the jib alone. I'm running with the wind. So I've got a slight amount of speed. I get a little bit more speed with the gusts, but the advantage with this is I can't capsize. So there's Saint Malo over the other side. Quite a few people on the water. There's a catamaran over there. They're getting some speed up. And always the inevitable motorboat waves. They come down here full speed, which isn't very kind of them, knowing that there are a number of sailing boats and a few children out there and optimists. And well, at least I can see the little shrine of Our Lady. I mentioned her yesterday. The last moment that a fisherman could pray to Our Lady for a safe return. It was the last moment, the last thing he saw of the land before going to sea. And the church here at Châtelier has indeed a lady altar. I will publish it on my. I may have done so already. I may have published it already on my blog. But if not, I took a photo quite a long time ago. It's Our Lady helping shipwrecked men from the sea and plucking them from the dangers of drowning. Very, very moving. They had a very solid faith in those days. The television series I mentioned, the Entre-Terre et Mer, was set in the 1920s, and very often our previous generations say what a wonderful time it was in the 20s and 30s, but they often forget what it was like for workers and the people who had to do the real work. Above Saint-Malo there are the fields where those who didn't go to sea, they had to work, and very often the wives, especially the widows, they had to till the earth, and it was a very, very hard life in those days. So much for building up character. No, those people suffered. They suffered poverty, and we can be thankful for all the social advances that have been made since then. But unfortunately, there's another side of it, is that this place in Saint-Malo, there are loads and loads and loads of new houses. It's becoming increasingly gentrified. This is happening all over Brittany, and even the little fishermen's cottages, they're going for huge prices, and it's just like people live. It's just like London, just like England, and it's a great heartache to see that happen. There's another boat with his jib and a spinnaker, and he's making good progress because he's got a little bit more. Oh, it's. No, it's another little boat with an engine. I don't think he's using his engine. I think he's using his spinnaker. No, he's using his mainsail as well. So all three of them. So he's making a lot of progress. And I'm not doing too badly. I'm moving quite slowly, and but better to arrive safely than capsized, as it does get quite gusty from time to time. So I'm taking the coward's way. I'm just using the jib. This is getting a little bit more frisky. I finally decided to haul up the main, and it made a big difference. I'm not going into snail's pace anymore. This is not a very big jib, although there are some quite interesting breezes. And see these kids from the Optimist, they must be getting pretty good, because it's quite choppy because of motorboats and the current against the wind. I think the tide probably starting to go out. So it's a good job I left the beach when I did. So I'm going with a starboard stern quarter wind, and like that I can make sure that this mainsail doesn't jibe accidentally and cause a broach. Okay, so I'll knock off here. Going under the bridges now towards Plouër sur Rance. Some of these boys here in their yachts are brave enough to tack in a quite a confined width. Well, he's doing all right. He's looks experienced. Right, so I need to look experienced too, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. Right, there's the little cafe over the other side where the campsite is. I recommend them. And I'm going to put into Plouër now and see if I can find my hat in the car.